Welcome, everyone. I am Wendy Saunders, a partner and head of financial services regulatory at Lewis Silkin. In this session, we will be covering the aspects of financial services regulation that are relevant to employment and HR professionals who are advising financial services firms. So, why do you need to know about financial services regulation? Individuals in financial services firms may be subject to additional requirements concerning, on the one hand, conduct, and on the other, remuneration. And it is important to be aware of what these are for each category of individual at all stages of the employment life cycle and for the type of firm that you are advising. So on this next slide, I have set out an illustration of the various points at which financial services regulatory issues may arise for employment and HR professionals. The applicable regulatory requirements vary depending on the type of firm in question, whether it is only regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, or FCA, or dual regulated by both the Prudential Regulation Authority, PRA, and the FCA, whether the firm is subject to the Senior Managers and Certification Regime, or SMCR, and if so, what level of firm it is, because for FCA solo regulated firms there are 3 categories of SMCR firm, and is it subject to a remuneration code or remuneration requirements? Key questions that might arise include, do your contracts have the right terms to make sure that employees have a contractual obligation to comply with their regulatory obligations? Are you operating remuneration practices that comply with your regulatory obligations? How will you handle regulatory misconduct, and do you have appropriate processes in place to deal with it? When might you need to report someone to the regulator? And if someone's leaving, what are the constraints about entering into a settlement agreement, and is severance pay permissible? Moving on then to who is caught by the term employee. It's important to note that the definition of employee is much wider under financial services regulation than under employment law, and captures individuals engaged in a variety of ways. Many financial services regulatory requirements are expressed as applying to or in relation to employees, and it is important to remember the wide scope of that term. Definitions are set out in the glossary of the FCA handbook and in the overarching legislation, that is the Financial Services and Markets Act 2000, or FSMA. And the general definition captures an individual who is A, employed or appointed by a person in connection with that person's business, whether under a contract of service or for services or otherwise, or B, an individual whose services, under an arrangement between that person and a third party, are placed at the disposal and under the control of that person.